Superman number 40. And this surprised me. I think this was in the solicits, but I'd just forgotten about it. So when I opened up the book, I'm like, oh, James Robinson's writing this issue. Okay. And then Doug Mankey is on the art.
This whole issue revolves around Superman and John trying to stop, or trying to help a planet that's going to be destroyed like Krypton. But when they get there, it's like a planet of giant sentient seahorses.
Which is bizarrely similar to the Green Lanterns from just like a few months ago.
It's one of my two big problems with this issue. That I was like, we just did this on Green Lanterns. Like, why are we doing this again here?
It's weird.
And Robinson's even self-aware about that, where he's like, well, usually this is a Green Lantern's job.
Yeah, there's a reference to Green Lantern as they're doing it.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's right down to the fact that the race of, as you're calling them, seahorses, don't want to be saved, which is exactly like the Molites in that Green Lanterns arc, and they had to be convinced. So far, it's very similar.
I feel like Jess was the better person to explain this to them versus Superman. Like, it's just weird. It was a weird execution here. But yeah, I mean, we got John though.
I think the problem is with Superman, he never wants to feel like he's ordering people to do anything.
Yeah.
Whereas with the Green Lanterns, they're space cops. They do give orders. That's kind of their thing.
Yeah, but that's not how Jess solved that.
No, it's not.
She'd had the whole rope analogy. Like, are you gonna grab the rope? And here, Superman just kind of like, well, no, you guys have to leave because like destruction of the planet's bad. I would know. And they're like, well, no, this is this is our religion, and if that's how it's meant to be.
Yeah.
It's like, well.
And then this, because he tries to convince them, they think he's this prophesized, villain that's going to try and make them break their faith. So they all start to try and attack him. And then there's this one scientist on the planet who's a man of science who helps them and saves them. And that's kind of where we end the issue.
Seahorse Jor-El, like
kind of, yeah. Seahorse.
Because I just feel like if Krypton was this place of science, yet still devoid of reason because they were so set in their ways, then this is kind of the opposite, where it's this world of faith, and this is, the one guy with reason, so, I feel like Robinson's really good at telling these kind of fables, because he did do the whole Superman run when he was on New Krypton, and he had, who did he have? Was it Mon-El? But he had the whole thing with Atlas, and they played around with that, so he's good at this type of stuff. Again, a little too close to the Green Lantern story that we just got out of Seeley.
Really weird.
It is.
That was the second half of this issue. The first half of this issue was in the Fortress, and it was basically it's the anniversary of Krypton's destruction. So obviously it's very coincidental that a planet, which Superman points out, it's very coincidental that a planet is going to die in a very similar fashion. But it's kind of like John learning about Krypton's destruction, and there's a lot of banter. Some of which I liked. I particularly like when John's trying to convince Superman to let him go on the mission with him. He's like, I mean, I should go on this, because of Rao. And he's like, that's where we're going with this, you're going to Rao? And he's like, yeah. That was funny. I did think some of John's dialogue, though, was occasionally a bit young-sounding from what I'm used to now.
I thought most of his dialogue was off. In concept of what he's saying, I think was good. Like, the Rouse stuff, like the ideas of what he's saying is good, but just the actual phrasing of it just feels off.
It does.
Throughout.
Well, it feels like Damian back during, when right after Morrison had created him, but Tomasi was using him more. When he would show up in other people's book, Damian just sounded off. Because we were so used to one person's idea of him, so
yeah, I can kind of see that. It was more of a problem in the first half. Once the action started to get going, it wasn't as big a deal because
he was speaking less.
Yeah, but I mean, it was okay because I saw James Robinson and I thought, oh, okay, it's a fill-in arc of some kind. Like again. I wasn't really excited about it, and then I read it. I'm like, you know what, that wasn't bad. Obviously, the art was still very good because Doug Mankey draws, good Superman.
Decent.
Yeah. So that was good. But, I had some nitpicks. Like you say, John's voice is a bit weird. It's very similar to that Green Lantern story. But it's pretty solid for the most part.
It's fine. It's very forgettable, though.
I kind of like Seahorse Science Man at the end.
Yeah. Seahorse Jor-El.
Fine, we'll go with Seahorse Jor-El, since Matt's really not well
It's got a better role to it, to be fair.
Yeah. But, yeah, it was okay. It was fine. Yeah. We'll see what I don't know if this is just a two-parter or if this is like a longer arc before.
Feels like maybe 2 or 3, but no more.
Yeah, interesting. This is happening so close to the end of the run because obviously, like Tomasi and Gleason are done.
Yeah,
in a
it
few
definitely
months.
feels like it's a. I feel like they changed directions halfway through Tomasi and Gleason's run, and I feel like their de facto finale was it Black Sun, whatever that was, with Manchester Black.
You think?
Yeah.
I feel like it because since then, what have we really gotten that was?
Well, we had the road trip, right? That was after that.
Well, no, I feel like
And
Imperious Lex must have always been a planned thing.
Yeah, but it also kind of felt thrown together.
I mean, I agree it did, but like that
In
must have been.
concept, I agree. Like, it feels like, no, that should be a big major beat towards the end of the run.
Yeah, that had to be something that we're working towards to some extent. I don't know. It's a shame to say it feels like it ran out of steam somewhere along the way, but it kind of has. Like it's been kind of rough for a while. It's been a lot of fill-ins.
One of them just like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. just do that. I'll be fine. We'll think of something. And then they never did.
Oh well.
It's a shame.
Yeah, so it's a decent issue of Superman. Nothing special, but it's not offensive or bad. It's just
No,
as we
I
say.
enjoyed reading it as it was going. I liked the spacesuits that they used, with communicators and whatnot, because they don't have Green Lantern rings. This was the Kryptonian equivalent,
I actually kind of dig John with goggles on. He's got like space goggles on when he's in space. I kind of like that.
I did a slight problem with the spacesuit from John. It's clearly covering his whole body, and there's the mask on his face, but it's not covering his head.
Yeah.
So, like, because you can see it over his hood, but obviously he's not wearing his hood. So it's just like, well, why is this not over you? It just felt really strange to me.
I agree.